Hello, beautiful people. I believe you all are doing great. So, today we're going to have a video on climate change, the global climate change, and how it's affecting the whole nation, the countries, how it's affecting our country, India, also, how the poor countries are facing the issue because of same. And we have recently heard about floods, about tsunami, tornado in USA itself, and like various other drastic climate change we have seen. So we would be talking on all the various aspects in this video. Actually, I was making a project on this whole climate change, and I gathered data from NASA itself, from World Bank itself, and from various other website. Recent data from 2020 to 2021, from 1980 I have the data. So I was making that project. So let's have a look at that and let's share with you. I was actually discussing with my brother, so I thought of why not make a video and share this with you also. So that's gonna be great, right? So yeah, that is a whole perspective. So let's get started. Let's have the introduction. I'm an India, and I'm pursuing computer science engineering. I'm in third year, and he is my brother Divakar, and he's actually Can you introduce yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
My name is Divakar Saxena. Recently, I'm in class 8, and
Yeah, we were having discussion, right?
yes,
Yeah. So yeah, let's get started. Let's get started with the video. So let's first talk about what is climate change and how first it being observed. Okay, so we'll be talking about that. So have you heard of industrialization? When a lot of engines were in the market from 1960s or 1980s, when there was a global industrialization. It was before that also, but after that it was in the public itself, right? More of motor vehicles, more of engines, factories, industries, coal industries, mining, fossil fuels, and lot more. That was the term when we heard about that global climate change, when there was a drastic change out there. So that was the time when we get to know about what is climate change. We start feeling really hot in the summer days. In winters there was a lot cold. People think that climate change simply means like a hot weather, and about talk about the temperature, that atmospheric temperature increases, or something about ozone layer or something. So have you heard about ozone layer in recent days? I think no. Days we have actually made it really nice on the ozone layer. It's actually recovering, so we are not hearing about ozone layer, but we are actually hearing about the change in climate, the melting of glaciers, and the rise in sea level. We are talking about the loss of a species. We are talking about, and flood. We are talking about. Let's talk about India itself. We have faced recently, in the Mumbai itself, there was a flood, really a huge flood. When we talk about 1 month back in the Bangalore, that is not that much affected area. That is a landlocked particular city. So in Bangalore itself, there was a flood out there, right? The buildings were submerged in the water. So what do you think hold the reason behind that? It's just only sea level? It's just about climate change? What is climate change first? Let's talk about climate change. So I want to know about that climate change from my brother itself, and then my whole intention is to teach him, and with the same to discuss with you itself. So my whole motive is he first, okay? So what do you think, what is climate change, brother?
climate change means because of pollutions or what toxic gases.
Yeah.
Nowadays, greenhouse effect.
Yeah, sure. So how you get to know about there is a change in climate itself? When you get to know about there is a climate change?
In summer we feel very hot, or in winter season we feel very cold because of climate change.
Okay, so summers days, yeah, that is a nice point. So this is actually, let's talk about personal feeling also, right? So we start feeling very hot in the summer days and very cold in the winters. So that is actually when get to know about there's a climate change. Okay, what do you think about pollution? What is the reason behind pollution?
Reason behind pollution, like because
Yeah, sure.
the gases which are released from factories are very toxic, or in motor vehicles releasing carbons are very,
Yeah, toxic
it
in
is
nature.
harmful for our climate. It is change in climate change.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
That was a great point. That was actually a great point, and that was the basic point what he have observed, not from the data itself, not from anything. So let's talk about what is climate change. What is climate change? The particular term. Climate change is the long period, the long period change in a climate, in a weather. So what is actually, there's a difference between weather and climate is actually long term. When we talk about long term weather, long term condition, long term atmospheric condition, then that is known as climate. And when we talk about short term, like it was raining yesterday, when we talk about that particular term, so it was for a single day. So for a single day, it means it's a weather. And when we talk about for a long term, it's actually climate. So when the same weather stays for a long period of time, and that climate change, that particular climate, then it becomes a climate, okay? And when climate change stays for a long period of time, like there's a sudden change in climate. So you think that there was an average temperature around our India was 33 degrees Celsius, and now it rises to 40 degrees Celsius. So there is a sudden change in temperature in the climate, and for a long period of time. And then when there is a change in climate for a long period of time, this is known as climate change. And this is totally not normal. Yeah, we have believed that there was a ice era and there was a summer era, like there was a hot era also in the ancient times, but this time we have boosted that. We have changed the thing really in a high way. We have impacted our environment in really bad ways, and we are misusing our knowledge. We are misusing our energy, our capacity, and our the brain gifted by the God. We are misusing that. So that is actually whole this thing is that happening just because of that itself. So you get to know about what is climate change, the definition of climate change. Let's start when it was first we feel what is when it's actually changed, okay? So we get to know about like when the humans get to know that there is a climate change. So there was an industrialization. I believe you all know that what is industrialization. So industrialization simply means like a lot of manufacturing out there, like manufacturing of automobiles, the factories, the vehicles, the machineries, and much more. So when it was 1950 or 1960, like in that particular era, there was a lot of mobilization, like just because of vehicles, there was a lot of production of vehicles, and whole that mobilization started in that particular era. So after that, the people, like there was a sudden change in the temperature, there was a sudden change in the climate, and then itself the whole country, the whole population get to know that okay, there is a climate change and we are feeling something different, something abnormal in our climate, in our environment. And then itself we get to know about hey, there is a climate change. So yeah, that was the time. It was 1960 itself, okay? So at that time, what happened actually? What was the trigger? What was the trigger that actually makes that whole climate change to feel like? So that trigger was the whole industrialization was the trigger itself, okay? So what the whole industrialization is dependent on coal, on a fuel, fossil fuels. When we talk about not coal itself, fossil fuels. So when we talk about fossil fuels, we mostly talk about coal, petroleum, diesel, and we talk about kerosene. Okay, so these are the main components of fossil fuels that we are totally and solely dependent on. So at that time, when there was industrialization, when there was industrialization, there was a lot of companies, lot of industries being made, and all the energy source of that industries was coal, either coal, okay? And all the automobiles that were using that particular all the automobiles was working on that petroleum itself, that is also part of fossil fuels. So that time we get to know about okay, yeah, like we were start using the whole fossil fuels. And we know that at the first time, like earlier, our vehicle was not that much efficient on fossil fuels. That was like Like they were using hundreds of liters of fossil fuels at that time, because the technological advancement was not at that time, right? So then itself we get to know about the whole change start happening to the atmosphere. So let's talk about, like, you get to know that, okay, there was a lot of fossil fuels. So how fossil fuels is impacting the nature, let's talk about that. So first, heating up is the main issue. Okay, heating up is the main issue. So how heating up, let's talk about that itself. So at that time, industrialization happened. Industrialization triggered the use of fossil fuels, and fossil fuels means burning of fossil fuels. We get to know about energy, and when burning of fossil fuels, heat radiation to the atmosphere, and heat radiation to the atmosphere, it means that rise in temperature of the whole atmosphere. Let's imagine, to understand this particular term, let's imagine that you have a big room in your home, and let's talk about this whole world. Okay, so you get to know, you can feel that actually problem. Okay, so you have a normal room. This is a normal room, right? So you are having a room. Take this as a mother earth. Okay, so this is a mother earth. There itself, there's a bucket of water. There are some like machine you're using, like your PC you are using in your home, and maybe your heater you're using in your home. Okay, so these are the things you're using in your home. Okay, so earlier there was a whole normal thing. Okay, in the night there was a cold, in day it was like warm itself, and you were sleeping normal. Days and night was happening. Okay, so then you start using machines in your home. So you start using PCs in your home, gaming PCs in your room. You start using extra machines like a fan in your home and everything. Okay, so you start using that for your convenient. So after that, you get to notice that you start using energy in that. Okay, so you start using energy. So when you start playing games on your PC for your entertainment, they release some hot air, that energy, that that heat waves itself, right? Not heat wave would be a long term. So they release some heat itself from the PC itself. Okay, so your room is an atmosphere. This whole open area is an atmosphere. So start heating it up, because there is no way to go up. All the walls are actually the layer of the atmosphere. We know that there's a troposphere, that is in the troposphere itself, the atmosphere is being held. So okay, so we start using troposphere, that is we start using energy, and that actually start rising in temperature of this particular room. So now slowly, so your whole room is packed, right? So slowly there is a rise in temperature in your room. And now the summer days are really hot, and the winters are not that much cold in itself, because we are talking about room itself. So let's take an example. Okay, so the winters are no more cold, and the summers are really hot, start growing hot. So you start so as the temperature rises, and there is a rise in the mosquitoes, there is a rise in the skin problem, lot of sweats, lot of water coming out from your body, and that is actually the cause of rashes, problems and everything. So take this as an example in the atmosphere itself. Okay, so in that atmosphere, same thing is happening. Okay, and we are changing. This is a small scale, we are talking about room, this is small scale, and when we talk about earth, there's like a huge scale out there. So that is actually happening. Okay, so that start rising. Moreover, we not only start using that laptop itself, we start using perfume in my room, like perfume in our room. So earlier the perfumes which was like there itself, there was having a chlorofluorocarbons in that particular perfume. So in that particular perfume there was chlorofluorocarbons. So so there were small holes in that room itself, like your window. So that chlorofluorocarbon actually start breaking the ozone layer, react with ozone layer, and start releasing chlorine, and that chlorine actually reacts more and more. So that is the other phase. So start like take it as like that is the ozone layer problem, let it to be. So take that machine start releasing carbon dioxide also. So your system is releasing some carbon dioxide. You're like burning something in the cold. In the winter season, you are burning something in your room for a heat purpose. Okay, so that heat actually, or take it a perfume having some carbon dioxide. Okay, so you're using that perfume that is having carbon dioxide in it. So when there is a carbon dioxide, that carbon dioxide is some like making a layer at the window of your home. And when there is a layer on the window of your home, it means that there is no escape of heat from this mother earth, and it means that it is going to be more trapped, and you are going to suffocate, and you are going to die one day. And that is actually happening with the earth in just 100 years, like in the 2 decades, our atmosphere rises with 2 degree of temperature, and that actually really high, because for rise in the 2 degree Celsius, it takes thousands of years, and we just did in just 2 decades itself. What do you feel about that? So that is climate change. Okay, so let's talk about this term in more deep, and let's start with the problems also, about in India also, where we see the problems, about other countries also. And yeah, let's go in deep. I just give you an overview with the help of room example, and you can feel the temperature now in your room. So up to now it's clear, Divakar?
Yeah.
Anything, any question?
No.
No question. So now let's talk about examples, most things, and let's talk about like in more deep, right? Okay, so I love to start with India itself, or like let's talk about from world itself and then submerge to India itself, right? That's gonna be great. So in worlds there are like some really some countries that are really great, like in really having really good proportion of production of industry, like vehicles and everything, like machineries, right? So when we talk about China is a huge producer, we all know that, okay? And the USA is also a huge producer. So one of the huge producers, USA is also a huge producer. So those countries like start using coals. They're like using coals from like really like from 2-3 decades itself. They're using coal. So they use we all know that our like 70% of our energy in India itself, till now we are talking about in India, 70% of 70 to 80% of dependency is totally on coal energy, and rest 30-20% are on like tidal energy, on that water energy, and like other renewable resources. Okay, so all these companies are like really like hot. They are producing really great amount of carbon dioxide that is actually suffocating this whole atmosphere, and with also they are releasing heat in the atmosphere. So first they are suffocating this with the release of carbon dioxide, that is actually like making a huge layer outside, and with that we are releasing that heat itself in that particular layer. So it's like creating a really great amount of like not great would be not a great term. So we would be talking like really a high amount of heat in the atmosphere, and that heat is affecting the whole atmosphere. We all know that there's a gravitation, and that air has an open place, like it can go from any place. So that particular heat air, the hot air, is actually moving to the Antarctica region, Atlantica region, and affecting that change in temperature. And that change in temperature is actually causing a melting of glaciers that are present in that. We can when we see about the data, you can clearly see that how many percent of glacier, we know that only 0.9% of 1.9% of water is actually in the form of glaciers, 0.5% in the form of groundwater, and 97% of water is in the form of sea level. So that if all the seas are already there, if we release a point like a 0.2% of water in the sea level, it's gonna like rise the sea level. So that glaciers are melting, glaciers are coming through water like from rivers, and that river is actually draining to the ocean, right? The river drains to ocean, and that ocean rising the sea level. And when sea level is rising, there's a cause of flood, there's a cause of tornadoes, change in monsoons, like monsoon comes late. So in what is
Earthquake.
Earthquake is not related to water problem. Okay, so that is causing the issues. Okay, so so that is the first issue. Second is that a rising water level actually causing the flood. That is also causing flood. There's causing of change in temperature. The monsoon is coming in late in. Okay, so let's talk about Mumbai. I know India better, and I can give you a better example in India that you can correlate with. So in let's talk about 2 month back news or 1 month back news. There was a flood in Bangalore. So what actually happens? The rain was the monsoon was delayed. The monsoon was delayed, and when it was a time like after delay, suddenly there was a huge rainfall, and the sea level is already rise because of glacier melting, and sea level is already rise. So there was a huge and sudden rainfall in Bangalore, and that rainfall caused of flooding in that area. And the reason of flooding was the drainage system. When the water goes to the drainage system, right, through your rivers, through your canals and everything, they goes to the sea level, but sea level was already rise. So take an example, sea level is already over here, and then there's a rise, there's a rainfall and everything. Is it a possibility that water is going to be in sea? Like, there's a very rare possibility, because already sea level is rise. Where you would throw your water? Where you would throw your water, right?
In open area.
Open area, that whole first our rainfall goes through groundwater level. If ground water level get full, then it try to drain the whole water into a low level area of ground, and that low level area of ground goes to sea itself. Sea is the lowest area of earth itself, right? The sleekest area of the earth, right? So the sea level was already raised, and there was a sudden rainfall, and the drainage system in Bangalore was not that much great, that directly linked to the sea. So that was the reason of sudden flood in Bangalore, and just a news of 1 month back. That is one example of climate change. Talk about tornadoes in USA. Just 3 days back news, when you talk about tornadoes in USA, it was not common. Like earlier it was not common, but now it's going common, and it destructed tons of thousands of houses, thousands of farms and trees. So there's a lot of destruction out there, and that is our example of climate change. More we talk about wildfires. That is actually in Canada and California. I didn't know where it was a wildfire. So that wildfire is actually so change in temperature, rise in temperature means like easily ignition temperature. You know about ignition temperature. Ignition temperature is the minimum temperature at which the substance start burning. That is ignition temperature. Okay. So when the temperature rises, it means that ignition temperature will decrease of that particular, we need a really very low heat to burn something out, right? So in California, I didn't know, in California there was a wildfire. So in that reason, already temperature was high. Just one strike of lightning, and the fire start catching the forest, and forest was already dry because of the heat weather and heat waves itself, and that caused also one of the reason of global warming, like a change in increase of temperature, like increase in temperature itself we talk about. With the prediction also we talk about, like it's being predicted by the scientists from all over the countries, like 30 scientists, more than a group of 30 or 1,000 scientists are actually working on this global problem of climate change. And they said that in coming up to 2000 up to 21st century, at the end of 21st century, 2100 up to, we are going to rise 4-degree temperature of this earth. And 4-degree temperature doesn't mean that just a sudden change. 4-degree means 4 degrees is the difference between ice and water, changing of ice to water. And 4 degrees lot. And if we are going to do, there would be rise in sea level, there would be rise in sea level, there would be more wildfire because of this, there would be more production of infected bacteria, there would be food problems because of drought, because of sudden flood. There would be food problem, there would be health problem, there would be more coronaviruses, this type of viruses, because that we have studied that there was a news that the heat is actually supporting the virus to grow more, right? Yeah, so we are going to have such a virus in our upcoming years, and that is going to affect us. That is not only going to affect us. We know that is our problem, our human being problem. That is actually human being problem. But with that human being, we are also going to suffer those animals that have their rights to live, and we have taken their rights and used for us, and we are making them die. Already a lot of species are out there that have been extinct from this planet. Simple talk about the tigers are, the rhinos are, that the rhinos, the last white horn rhinos was there, that was like from Africa. Yeah, that was actually died because of that climate change. Climate change means like simply drought. There was a drought, and that rhinos were not able to drink water. They was not able to hydrate himself and not able to from like manage those things, and died. They died. Let's talk about like other animals that extinct just because of us, just because of us. Yes, we human being have did that. What do you talk about? What other animals that you know that have been extinct? Birds. You can have you seen that birds?
Vultures are.
Vultures are also dying just because of climate change. Lot of heat waves, and all the other animals that actually like
One horn rhino.
one horn rhino. Yeah.
Only one horn rhino is in Kaziranga Park.
Only one horn rhino is left. See. And when we talk about more, then yeah, we are going to have more. You know that in summer season there's more growth of mosquitoes, and those mosquitoes are actually causing that problem of dengue, malaria, chikungunya, and much more, and that is actually affecting us. Indirectly, if we correlate this climate change with anything in the economy, in the growth, in the everything, that climate change is indirectly affecting our each and everything. Our climate change is affecting our health itself, our wealth itself, our nature itself, our state of mind itself, and everything. Okay, I was talking about a loophole also. Let's talk about a loophole, and that's gonna be great. You will be like really shocked when we hear about loophole in the countries. So poor countries such as when we talk about poor countries such as Siberia, when we talk about poor countries such as Afghanistan, Pakistan, some poor countries. So what is actually happening in that countries? So first they are affected by the change in climate, and they didn't have resources. Technology is technology is not of cheap price. Technology is actually costly, right? And they're not able to go through to adopt the technologies. So they actually try to use the fuel, and when you're using fuel, they are indirectly way again. Okay, let's talk about a loophole. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, let's talk about loophole. What is a loophole? Okay, a loophole is something like a hole from which you won't able to come out. Like that is actually a whole circle. There's no end, no start. You are just revolving around that, and there's no end itself, right? So that is actually loophole, right? You got it? Yeah. Let's talk about loophole. How the countries are stuck in the loophole. So take an example. You are a person, okay? So you are a working person, and you earn 500 rupees per day. Like you are just a normal guy. Like 15,000 per month, okay, and your home costs 10,000 rupees, and 5,000 get left for like you get like 3,000 or 4,000. You're paying for room rent, you're paying for 3,000 for food, and for 2,000 fees of your like something you're paying cylinders is 1,000 rupees. So you're paying for that itself. So you just use 10,000 rupees and like 5,000 left for some problems. Okay, so you're a normal guy, you are earning that much money, 15,000 rupees per month. Okay, let's talk about loophole. What is loophole in this? Okay, so that is normal. Okay, so you're earning 15,000 rupees. Let's decrease that. That is normal. You can teach your students, you can teach your children, and you can do anything. So that is normal. Let's decrease that 15,000 to 10,000 rupees, or let's decrease that to 7,000 or 6,000 rupees. That is actually a normal ways. You know that in India the average income is only 15,000 rupees, you know, and that is because of that rich people. If we talk about really poor people, there is like 70% of income from India is actually earned by 3% of people, and that 30% is earned by only the whole 90 that whole people, that extra 80 to 90% of people that is earning that other income. So we not talk about average. Actually in villages people are earning more less than 5,000 rupees, 100 rupees per day. That is actually 3,000 rupees per month itself. Okay, so that is not a fact, that is true, that is totally true. So let's talk about loophole. Okay, so a person is earning nearby 3,000 4,000 rupees per month. Okay, and I said a normal guy have expenditure of 10,000 rupees. So take an example, they're not paying for home, so reduce that 3,000 rupees, they are paying for their food, 2,000 rupees per, that is actually really needed, 2,000 rupees for their food, and for living, for their medicines, for extra cost, they are paying rupees 2,000 to 2,500, so they're left with only 5,000 rupees. Okay, so their kids not able to go to school because they're not able to earn. If they go to school, who is going to earn for their home? Let's take an example, समझते अच्छे से समझते हैं लूप होल क्या है. So you won't able to send your kids to the school, because if they goes to school, there is no source of income in your home, and if there is no source of income in your home, you're going to starve in that. And if they are not going to school, they are not learning, and if they are not learning, they are not getting what are the ways to earn, they're not enhancing their knowledge, and they are just like whole their, if they're not going to study, if the whole thing is happening same for like for 100 years, so for this person, that particular guy, and that the upcoming generation is also going to suffer. They are going to in the same loophole itself. Like if you're earning 4,000 rupees and you're eating whole the 4,000 rupees, and you're not able to send your children to the schools, and they're not learning that self, how you're going to teach themselves, and how they're going to jump out from that loophole? It's a whole loophole that is not ever ending. आप रह भी नहीं सकते उसके बिना, और आपको निकलना भी है. It's like you're not able to live without that, and you have to come out from that, and only magic can help you in that itself. Okay, so poor countries such as Pakistan or other countries, states really the people are earning very less, and because of that, they're not able to send their kids to the school, and the schools are also in a lot of countries there's no school also, so they not know how to what to do. They just totally dependent on land itself, land on farming, on for daily wage workers itself. Okay, and in daily wage workers, they are earning really less money. So they are totally dependent on farms. But due to climate change, they're not able to grow the food in their farm also. And if they are not able to grow their food in farm also, they are actually dying. Slowly. That loophole is actually sinking. Yes? And they are dying. This is a loophole, and a lot of countries is suffering from that. India is also suffering from that, and bigger countries such as USA is also suffering from that. They have really good money, but they didn't have enough money to change whole the fossil fuels, they replace the whole fossil fuels in just a snap of a finger, to in the solar power plants and everything. That is actually loophole. But these countries, some developed countries, are really getting out from that, but the poor countries are suffering, and they are using that. So if that rich countries is also trying to solve the problem of climate change, but that poor country is still doing the same, is it going to be solved?
No.
Ever it's going to be solved? Yes, no. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard, right?
Yeah.
So that is actually a loophole, and we are still suffering from that itself. I give you example itself. In India itself, there's like 30 to 40% of people are under poverty, and under poverty means like earning less than 2,000 rupees per month, and they are fucking in the loophole. They're actually dying, and they are dying because of people who are in the upper state, that are earning more and using energy for their passions, for their luxury life, all the suffering. And climate change is not normal thing. Dengues and malarias. If just think that if the corona dose, if our government would not able to make it free, that vaccine not make it able to make, if they not able to free the vaccine, how many people gonna die? Like how many people would be dying itself? In Africa, there is no free vaccines, not a lot of free vaccines. If think about Africa now, Omicron is there, right? So if people are if governments are not giving that free vaccines to those countries where there is no development, no schools, no hospitals, do you think think, just take an example how, what there would be the situation out there. So it's simply like you're earning 4,000 rupees and now you get to know that your father is having cancer. It means simply that itself, like. So this is what happening to the countries. And climate change is not just affecting the temperature, it's affecting us, each and every phase of us. Everything is affected: education, culture, food security, health issues, atmospheric temperature, waterfalls, rains, everything is affected just because of climate change. And you have no boundaries. You have no boundaries in sky that this country is releasing this much amount of carbon dioxide, so it will stay in this atmosphere itself. It will not go in other country. So there is no wall in the atmosphere. It's an open air, and we're not able to build that wall. So if a single country is facing with a single country is actually making an issue, it's going to spread all over the earth itself, right? Same like coronavirus. We have boundaries, still it's actually spreading all over the countries. Is that coronavirus was in this India? Yes, no. Is that coronavirus first case was in Japan? No. It was in that Africa? Yes, no. Still those countries are suffering. Because of whom? Because of single country. And same thing is going to happen with climate change also. You got it? Now the question is how to solve climate change. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I given you whole scenario. What is climate change? How it's affecting? What are the nature? What is the loophole? What are the countries that are suffering? What is the problem? What do you think? What is the solution of this?
We're not able to complete change climate.
Yeah.
जड़ से हम इसे खत्म नहीं कर सकते, but we try.
What? How you try?
Means like.
Have you heard this term? If a single case of coronavirus is going to be in this world, our country is going to suffer. Do you hear about this term? This is same is going to happen in the climate change also. Yes. My solution, from my feelings, I have researched really lot on this topic, and from my way, the only solution is education. Education is the solution of everything in this world. Everything, each and everything, the solution of that is education. Our former president APJ Abdul Kalam has said that if a person is having education, taking proper education, following rules, he is going to be a good citizen. So the only solution is education, but with education also, that education. But education with a good, true education, true feeling, true dedication also needed with that education. Company owners are having good education, right? Yeah. Still they are causing that change. They are doing that climate change. Still they are releasing a lot of tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. But I mean education means a good education. A good education that have ethics, good education that have a good sense of responsibility for the people, having good sense of respect for the other habitats that are on the planet, and for all the living beings. That proper education is the solution. If that is going to happen, if each and every people are going to respect each other, going to take this world as a one world, then we are going to win this race. So education is the best solution. And for loopholes, the richer countries have to help those countries, not with money, then with education. They have to help them to get the education. And that is the only way we are going to win this whole thing, the climate change. Also, trees are really good example. If we start planting tree, I say you, please, at least in one life, a person have to plant minimum 10 tree in his life and make it to grow. Not only plant, make it to grow. Planting trees, great thing. It helps with not only in climate change, also in the mental state, and stopping the spread of problems also. So trees are really good thing. Plant trees, become good educated person. Third thing I can say, sense of responsibility that comes into education. And third thing I want to say that one world, that is the only thing, that is the only solution to grow. And I believe I'm over with my thoughts. Anything you want to say, Divakar?
No, all things are good.
All things are good. So I just personally target for 40 minutes continuously on this, and I have more points. I have points such as I have datas of people like who are suffering, and like about particular states of like Bihar and UP that are not that much high in this creation of global problems in the factory in this industrialization. Still, these 2-3 states are suffering really hard just because of Delhi, Mumbai, and these particular states. So not states, cities. Delhi is city. New Delhi, I'm talking about, not Delhi. So this is all. I'm really ashamed when I think about problems. It really makes me feel bad. But I can't do anything. I just able to do my. Okay, just give me a moment. I know what are my responsibilities, and I do that responsibilities. And I have a request also. We have a request, right, Divakar?
Yeah.
Please be a responsible person. Just be a responsible person. Just be a good person who can love. Who can respect the nature, who can be helpful. I can say one thing: do whatever you want, but that whatever you want, not harm any human being, any plants, anything. Then do whatever you want. You want to kill person, it is not harming that person, kill that person. If it's not harming that family of a person, kill that person. So it means that do whatever you want, but it not make people suffer, not make nature suffer. Be a responsible person also. If you're earning crore rupees, that is okay, but that earning is not causing an issue. That is also needed to be taken into picture. So be a good person, be a kind person, help others who are in these loopholes, help those people to come out from those loopholes, and at least plant 10 trees in your life. And if you not help a whole city, if you not help a whole country, then help at least one family in your life, and bring one family from their poverty and then their problems, from their loopholes. If you are a stronger person, please give your hand to the people and bring at least one family out of this loophole. This loophole is really a bad thing that is actually everlasting thing that's never going to end. And a lot of countries are actually suffering from this loopholes I'm talking about. So this is my request, and I'm doing also. I would request you also do, and be a responsible person. You want to say anything, Divakar? You want to say anything?
No, but thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching our video. That was a great discussion. And if you are watching this video just because to get some insights, then I definitely say that's just gonna help you in your debate. We have talked really good things. So thanks for watching. Take care.
Bye bye.
Jai Hind.
Jai Bharat.
Bye bye.